What's up everyone, FG Tech here, and in today's video we are going to talk about my new gear being updated, so let's go! So yes, as you read from the title already, I'm switching from an APS-C camera to a mirrorless full frame. But guys, if you're new here, let's start a little bit with some background information. So I am Tony, I live in Italy, and my channel has a lots of reviews of tech gadgets, PC gaming and photography products. So if you like this video and enjoy this content, please make sure to support me in subscribing. You will find the link below. So let's start with some preliminary information. So I owned a Nikon D5600 and now just got this amazing Sony. This is in particular the A7 II. I know that you guys were probably thinking that the A7 III and IV are out now, but basically I found a great bargain for this camera and I couldn't let it go. And this will provide amazing photo quality as well as video. For videos, there are also some other products from Sony, the R series, which are even better. But nevertheless, this is quite sufficient for my needs. I have to say I've been always a little bit skeptical about mirrorless cameras. I always thought they missed something. They still were a little bit inferior in terms of overall image quality compared to DSLR. But there are actually several factors that made me think over it and led me in the end decide for making this switch to a mirrorless camera, which is also full frame. So basically I decided to make just this quick video in order to share with you my impressions, my reasons, my thoughts that made me think about this upgrade, and this is probably useful for all of you that are in the same situation where I was in, and will probably ease a little bit your decision process. So I was able to find several reasons, I think more or less 7 reasons that made me do this switch. First one is pricing. With the mirrorless cameras previously being very expensive, I didn't think at all about this alternative, honestly. But recently with price changes and dropped out prices, especially this A7, I started to think about it. So basically the A7 III and IV are out now, but they're still quite expensive. Just to give you a terms of comparison, the A7R IV, it's about 6 times more expensive than what I paid for this one. That's surely a beast, but yeah, I found that A7 II is quite enough for me. So yeah, first reason was decision making based on pricing. Second reason is the possibility of using vintage lenses. The Sony cameras, especially from A7 II on, I think the A7, the classic A7 doesn't have it, but from A7 II onwards you get the stabilization within the sensor. So basically you have stabilization within the camera body itself. So basically even if you're using older lenses which are obviously not stabilized, you are still able to stabilize your video or photo. So, and I found this extremely important in my decision making process because you can find amazing vintage lenses with an amazing quality for maybe $100 or even less sometimes, and you can get also stabilization, so it's a little bit more painful obviously in terms of focusing, because in these older lens obviously you don't have the contacts, the chips that let you communicate between lens and camera. Nevertheless, I found this a great point in my decision process. So third reason, it's an advanced focus system. So the Sony cameras are very famous for their advanced focus system. So this comes very handy in particularly in video shootings, of course, in filmmaking. Depending on the lenses used, it's a very fast and reliable focusing system. Moreover, if you intend to use vintage lenses where only manual focus will be available, there is a very efficient focus assist that will help you in order to focus really properly. So I tried that, maybe I will do another video explaining that, but there are anyway plenty of examples on YouTube that you can look at. So the fourth reason is the availability of color profiles for both picture and video, but video is what I was interested in too. This is something that I missed in the previous camera. So I'm now able to shoot, for example, in S-Log2, which gives me more dynamic range in videos, plus will give me the opportunity to ease a little bit my color grading process in DaVinci or in Premiere. So the factory profiles are known to be not the best, so colors on Sony cameras, especially on videos, are not the best. They tend to be green sometimes, but they are really simply customizable, and there are also some color profiles that will make you achieve kind of the color science that you can find in the Canon cameras. So let's go to the fifth reason. The fifth reason is that there is no more any crop factor. As we all know, the full frame cameras have a bigger sensor, so sensibly bigger than any other sensor. This means that we don't need to consider anymore any cropping factor. So for example, if you have a 35mm full frame lens, they will produce exactly a 35mm image. While in terms of comparison, for example, if this full frame sensor has a cropping factor of 1, then the APS-C camera has a cropping factor of 1.5. Canon cameras even bigger, it's around 1.6. While on Micro Four Thirds cameras we have a cropping factor of around 2 per. And yeah, generic phone, for example, is between 6 and 8. So in real life, while a 35mm lens on a full frame camera will produce a real 35mm image, a general APS-C will provide 35 multiplied by 1.5. So basically it's a 52mm equivalent image. The Canon APS-C will produce a 56 because the cropping factor is 1.6, so it's equivalent to a 56mm image. And finally, a Micro Four Thirds camera will produce comparable results to a 70mm lens. So this also means that, for example, if I want to obtain an equivalent result as a Micro Four Thirds camera, with the same lens, with the 35mm lens, I can get closer to the subject, and therefore I will gain additional accuracy. Or on the other side, if I want to get a wider image, I can with the full frame, obviously. So sixth reason, even if it's not a huge difference compared to my previous DSLR, we need to take into consideration that the A7 II is a full frame camera, while my previous one was just a APS-C camera. But the fact that this Sony is mirrorless, it's basically it's lighter, and it's also a little bit more compact. Unfortunately, we should also say that usually the lenses on full frame cameras are a little bit bigger and a little bit heavier, so that will compensate a little bit probably. So let's go to the seventh reason. Seventh reason is amazing low light performance. So basically full frame cameras are known to be having a high resistance to higher ISO. So this means that with higher ISO settings you will see less noise compared to the same ISO settings on an APS-C camera. Eighth reason now, better bokeh. So full frames have usually less depth of field compared to APS-C cameras. So this is translated to the autofocus of the background. So the so-known bokeh effect will be more pronunciated, more evident on these cameras rather than other cameras. So that's all for today, for this quick video, guys. As always, I hope that this video was quite useful for you, and especially for those who are not quite sure if to switch from the APS-C camera to a full frame camera, or from a mirror camera to a mirrorless camera, and you're probably still thinking about it. So I hope I solved some of your doubts. And yeah, please always remember, if you like this video, thumbs up, and please subscribe in order to support me, and see you in the next one. Oh shit. I just realized everything was out of focus. Sorry guys, new camera, new brand, new settings, I have to learn.